Olivia's world was a quiet and controlled one. As the only child of a father who demanded perfection in all things, every moment of her life was meticulously planned. Her days were filled with ballet classes, academic tutoring, and proper etiquette, all in pursuit of her father's vision of success. He was a man of strict routines, and his word ruled the household. Her mother, though kinder, supported this structure, believing her husband's control brought stability. Olivia often felt like she was living in a carefully curated snow globe, perfect on the outside, but suffocating on the inside. Her days were orderly, but her heart wasn't. 17-year-old Olivia craved something more, something messy and vibrant, something alive. Ethan's world was the exact opposite. The youngest of 5 in a household bursting with energy and noise, his life was messy in the best possible way. His parents were artists, his mother a painter, and his father a musician. Their home was chaotic but loving, filled with laughter, creativity, and the kind of passion Olivia had only read about. Ethan was used to being the baby of the family, adored and teased in equal measure by his siblings. At 18, he'd grown into a lanky young man with sandy blonde hair that always looked like he'd just rolled out of bed, and mischievous green eyes that sparkled with a mix of defiance and charm. Ethan found freedom in skateboarding, where he could be alone, but still part of something bigger. The skate park was where he belonged, a place with no rules, where gravity was his only rival, and success came from how many times he was willing to fail. The two met not in their own worlds, but somewhere in between. Olivia's ballet studio sat on the edge of the park where Ethan practiced. She often walked past the skate park after classes. At first, it was curiosity that made her pause to watch, but soon she found herself lingering longer than she intended. Ethan stood out among the others, fearless and focused as he flipped his board effortlessly through the air. She envied his confidence and how unapologetically he existed in the world. Ethan noticed her too. The first time he saw her, she looked impossibly delicate, like she belonged on stage instead of near his concrete kingdom. She'd stood watching for a few moments, her dark brown hair pulled tight into a bun, her sharp features highlighted by the fading sunlight. She looked like a painting that had come to life, but one that was keeping itself just out of reach. But it wasn't until a rainy Wednesday afternoon that the universe finally gave them a reason to speak. The coffee shop was a small, tucked-away spot between the skate park and the town square. Olivia had wandered in after a long day of classes, ballet shoes in one hand, headphones in the other. Ethan was already inside, dripping wet and shaking rain from his hoodie, his board leaning against the counter like a trusted companion. She was just placing her order, chai latte, no foam, and a blueberry muffin, when he stepped up beside her, eyeing the pastry case with indecision. "Get the banana bread," Olivia said, surprising even herself. "It's underrated." Ethan turned, amused. "Didn't expect banana bread expertise from a ballerina." Olivia blinked. "You've seen me dance." He nodded, grinning. "You pass by the park all the time. Kinda hard not to notice someone who walks like she's floating." Her face flushed slightly, but she smirked. "And you're the skater who thinks cracked pavement is a runway." "That's one way to describe my art," he said with a mock bow. "Ethan." Olivia. They ended up sitting near the back window, drinks in hand. Ethan had taken her advice, banana bread in front of him, half eaten already. Their conversation started off easy, small jokes, sarcastic quips, mutual surprise at how naturally the words flowed. He told her about his family, how music played at all hours of the day, how his parents still slow danced in their tiny kitchen to Billie Holiday or Coltrane. "Sometimes I think they're stuck in a different decade," he laughed, eyes warm. "But it's kinda beautiful." Olivia listened, quiet but engaged, imagining that kind of life. She shared pieces of herself, careful not to give too much away. She talked about ballet, how it both grounded and caged her, how she loved the movement but hated the constant pressure. Ethan didn't press. He just nodded, like he understood anyway. As the rain faded into mist and the streetlights began to glow, they parted with a promise, not spoken but felt, a sense that this wouldn't be the last time. That night, Olivia lay in bed replaying their meeting in her mind. For years, she'd dreamed of stepping outside her pristine world, and now, for the first time, she wondered if she had found the person who could show her how. Over the next few months, Olivia and Ethan became inseparable, slipping into an unspoken rhythm that felt natural despite their differences. Each day brought with it stolen moments and secret meetings where they explored the middle ground between their worlds. After her ballet classes, Olivia would walk to the skate park, her pointe shoes tied to her bag. Ethan always knew when to look for her. He'd grin from his board and gesture for her to come over. One evening, after his friends had left and the park was silent, save for the distant hum of cicadas, Ethan offered her his skateboard. "Come on," he said, holding the board steady. "I'll teach you how to ollie." Olivia laughed nervously. "I can barely balance in pointe shoes, and you want me to jump on a board?" But she placed her foot on the deck, feeling its uneasy sway beneath her. Ethan held her hands, his touch steadying. She felt the strength in his grip, and the softness in his encouragement. She tried, and failed, 3 times before landing a wobbly jump, and her victory shout echoed through the park. In return, she taught him ballet basics. Ethan, wobbling precariously through pliés and tendus. Olivia laughed so hard she cried when he attempted a pirouette and almost toppled over. For the first time, she felt free, unguarded and alive, but their love didn't exist in a bubble. When Olivia wasn't with Ethan, she endured her friend's judgment. "You're seriously spending time with him?" Marissa, her oldest friend, sneered during lunch one afternoon. "What could you possibly have in common with a boy like that?" "More than you think," Olivia replied softly, but her hands trembled. Her father didn't know about Ethan, but his rules felt ever-present, pressing down on her. "Focus," he would say after ballet practice, inspecting her movements with critical eyes. "Perfection doesn't come without discipline." Olivia would nod, keeping her thoughts to herself. She couldn't imagine telling him about the boy who had turned her world upside down. Ethan's family, on the other hand, welcomed Olivia with open arms. One Saturday, she joined them for dinner in their cluttered but cozy home. The long dining table was covered in mismatched plates, sketches, and half-finished projects. Ethan's mother, a petite woman with paint smudges on her hands, smiled warmly as she handed Olivia a plate of pasta. "We've heard so much about you," she said, her voice like sunshine. Ethan's father added with a grin, "We were beginning to think you were a figment of his imagination." Olivia marveled at their easy affection, the way everyone spoke over one another and laughed without restraint. Ethan's older siblings teased him mercilessly, calling her fancy pants, until Ethan rolled his eyes and shooed them away. Olivia realized she had never experienced this kind of chaos and love, a stark contrast to the pristine silence of her own home. Later that evening, as they sat on the porch steps, Ethan nudged her. "What did you think?" "I loved it," Olivia admitted, looking up at the stars. "I don't think I've ever been in a house that felt so alive." Ethan smiled, but it faded slightly as he leaned closer. "I wish I could meet your family," he said, his voice laced with longing. Olivia stiffened. "They wouldn't understand," she whispered. Her world and Ethan's clashed whenever she returned home. Her father's stern expression, her mother's polite quietness, and the immaculate walls seemed suffocating after the vibrancy of Ethan's home. One day, Olivia's mother cornered her. "You've been distracted," she said gently, her tone betraying concern. "Is there something you want to tell us?" Olivia hesitated. Her heart longed to scream Ethan's name, to describe his laugh, the sparkle in his green eyes, the warmth of his family. But instead, she shook her head. "No, nothing." The weight of her secrecy became unbearable. Ethan felt it too. One night, at a dimly lit cafe where they often spent hours together, Ethan looked at her across the table. The speakers hummed a slow tune, and the smell of fries filled the air. "I'm falling for you," he confessed, his green eyes avoiding hers. "I can't pretend I'm not." Olivia's breath hitched. "Me too," she whispered, her voice almost breaking. She reached for his hand, holding it tightly. "But," Ethan frowned. "But what?" "I don't know if I can do this forever," she admitted, tears welling in her eyes. "I want to be with you, but it feels like we're standing on a line that could snap any moment. And when it does—" She couldn't finish the thought. Ethan's jaw tensed. "I don't care about the line," he said firmly. "I care about you." Olivia looked at him, and in his eyes, she saw a future full of passion and chaos, one that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. For the first time, she wondered if love truly was enough to bridge their worlds, or if the weight of reality would eventually tear them apart. As the months passed, Olivia and Ethan's worlds began to clash in ways that neither could ignore. The passion and excitement that once defined their relationship were now shadowed by their undeniable differences. Olivia's days were consumed with ballet practices, long hours of rehearsals under the unyielding gaze of her instructor. Her father often watched from the corner, his arms crossed, his eyes scrutinizing every detail. "That pirouette needs more precision," he'd remark when she got home, his tone devoid of praise. Her mother, always smiling gently in the background, would diffuse the tension with calm words. "She's doing her best, dear." But Olivia felt the weight of her father's expectations, suffocating and relentless. At the skate park, Ethan's world couldn't have been more different. His family thrived on chaos, love, and creativity. His siblings were always in and out of the house, leaving trails of laughter and forgotten mugs of coffee. Dinner was a noisy affair, filled with teasing, debating, and bursts of music from his father's guitar. Ethan's mother encouraged him to dream big. "You'll be the next Tony Hawk," she'd say with a wink, ruffling his hair. Ethan would laugh it off, though the encouragement meant everything to him. But as much as Ethan wanted to share his vibrant world with Olivia, he couldn't ignore the growing gap between them. Things came to a head at a party Olivia hesitantly invited him to. She didn't want to hide him anymore. Ethan arrived wearing his usual baggy jeans, a loose hoodie, and sneakers streaked with paint. Olivia's friends, clad in designer outfits and stiff smiles, didn't bother hiding their judgment. The whispers started as soon as Ethan walked in. "Is he serious with that outfit?" Marissa murmured loudly enough for everyone to hear. Olivia flushed, stepping closer to Ethan to shield him from the jabs. "Ignore them," she whispered, forcing a smile, but she could see the tension in his jaw. Ethan played along for a while, smiling politely and cracking a few jokes. But when one of her friends jokingly asked him if he was lost, Ethan's mask slipped. "I'm good," he said, his voice tight before turning to Olivia. "I think I'm going to head out." "Ethan, don't," Olivia begged, grabbing his arm. But he pulled away. "It's fine, Liv," he said with a sad smile. "I don't belong here anyway." He left, his heart heavy, leaving Olivia standing alone in a room full of judgmental eyes. Back at home, Ethan found solace in his board. The slap of his wheels against the pavement matched the anger thrumming in his chest. As he landed trick after trick, his frustrations poured out onto the concrete, but the ache in his heart lingered. Olivia's own nights were no easier. At dinner, her father noticed her lack of appetite. "You're distracted," he said sharply. "If you want to make it as a professional dancer, you need to focus." Olivia bit her lip, resisting the urge to snap. She retreated to her room, staring at her phone, her thumb hovering over Ethan's name. She missed him, but every call went unanswered. Ethan's avoidance deepened the rift. Days turned into weeks, and their communication dwindled. When Olivia finally worked up the courage to visit his house, Ethan's sister opened the door, a knowing look on her face. "He's at the skate park," she said softly, gesturing for Olivia to come in. Olivia shook her head, her nerves taut. I'll find him there. Thanks. At the skate park, Olivia saw him, his silhouette moving fluidly against the backdrop of the setting sun. She waited until he noticed her. Ethan slowed, coming to a stop, his expression guarded. Why are you here? He asked, his tone softer than she expected. I miss you, she admitted, stepping closer. I'm sorry about the party. I should have defended you. Ethan sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. It's not just the party, Olivia, it's everything. Your friends, your dad, your whole world. I don't think I fit in. You don't have to fit in, she said, her voice cracking. I don't care what they think. Maybe you should, Ethan said quietly, his gaze falling to the ground. Because it feels like you're always trying to balance me and them, and I don't want to be the one you have to choose. Olivia's chest tightened as tears threatened to fall. I don't want to lose you, she whispered. Ethan hesitated before stepping closer, brushing a tear from her cheek. I don't want to lose you either, Liv, but I don't know how we keep going like this. They stood in silence, their worlds pulling them in opposite directions as cracks deepened in the foundation of what they'd built together. The weeks following were torturous for Olivia and Ethan. Though their connection was undeniable, the pressures of their separate worlds became too heavy to bear. Every conversation felt strained, every moment together a reminder of the divide that neither of them knew how to bridge. Stay tuned for part 2, and don't forget to subscribe for more, where we turn songs into stories. Can you name the artist and the title of the song that inspired this one? Drop your guess in the comments below.